So Andrew, fantastic to meet you. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. For people who don't know anything about Support the Girls, can you give us a brief introduction to what this film's all about?
Sure. It takes place in the so-called sports bar with curves. It's a very American phenomenon. Hooters, you may have heard of,
Yeah.
and then the many descendants of Hooters. So it's a burger joint where one is served by scantily clad young women. It's I think a very American phenomenon. They're very to me unsexy places. They're much more about selling comfort and a sense of belonging. And I was just fascinated by them. And so this is a story set in one of those, following a very harried general manager through a very challenging day.
And what gave you the idea for this film? Were you sat in one of these places and it suddenly hit you? Or?
Something like that, yeah. I went to one maybe a decade or so ago, and then couldn't quite get it out of my head. It was such an interesting phenomenon, such a kind of peculiar product they were selling, and they're I mean, I live in Texas, in the States, and so there are a half dozen of them within a few miles of me. But it wasn't what I expected, and so I couldn't quite get it out of my head. The idea of setting a story there stuck with me until I did it.
And how did you get this cast together? How did you choose these people, and how did you work with them to bring about the film?
Yeah, well, I got very lucky. We have a phenomenal, extraordinary cast. It's a big ensemble. Regina Hall plays Lisa, the general manager, and she's at the center of the story. She's in nearly every scene of the film. But then surrounding her, we've got Haley Lee Richardson, who is a phenomenal young actor. Shana McHale, this is her screen debut, but she's a rapper who raps under the name of Jungle Pussy, which I can only say once out loud before I blush. Dylan Galula, AJ Michalka, James LeGros, great cast. Got lucky. It's always luck with casting. You kind of open yourself up to the heavens and say, this is only going to work if you send me the perfect people, and you hope that happens. And sometimes it does.
And was it a lot of fun making the film? Were there any particular highlights or real challenges on the set?
It's always a challenge, I mean, I'm a grump on set. I'm much happier when it's all in the can, because it's there's so many moving pieces. So many. I mean, it's thrilling every day to show up and work with those folks. But we had some night scenes. There's one long night sequence in the movie that almost every character is in. There's an incredible amount of choreography. There are a lot of extras. And those shoots were long and difficult, but we got through.
And you say it's a very American phenomenon. It's an interesting time in America, I think, right? Well, and beyond for in politics, in terms of looking at gender, women's role in society. So do you think this is one of those films that, although it's about kind of one specific location, it can kind of have themes that relate to broader subjects?
Oh, I would imagine so, yeah. I mean, it's been an interesting journey, because this is something that I did start thinking about quite a while ago. And when I sat down to start writing this version of it, it was, I suppose, late 2015, which was a very different world than the one we're living in today. So quite a bit changed from conception to writing to shooting to editing. By the time we released the movie, it was a very different environment. In some ways, I think when I was writing, I thought my worry was, well, this is just going to seem irrelevant. Maybe nobody will be interested. These are these places that you drive by on the highway and you never think about, unless you're a regular. And by the time we finished it, I worried. I thought maybe this is too relevant. Maybe I'm going to get in trouble, because these issues have become so hot, and there's so much temper around them now. What can I say? It's a interesting times we're living in, for sure.
And where do you think, where do you see these sorts of places and what they represent? Do you think it's something that is becoming passé, and that kind of misogynistic sort of environment's dying out? Or do you think in some corners it's almost being strengthened because things have become so polarized?
Well, both, yeah. I mean, I think, for sure, I don't think, as far as these businesses themselves, they seem to be on the wane, but I can't guarantee that there won't be a resurgence or a rethinking of them. They do cater mostly to older men. You don't see a lot of young folks in there necessarily. as far as the culture that says this is okay or it isn't, I have mixed feelings about it. I certainly understand that they're not for everyone, and these were not places that I was frequenting myself until I was writing a movie about them. But I mean, for a lot of the women in there, it's earning a living and it's making this slightly better wage than they're going to make at Applebee's or TGI Fridays. And for a lot of the men, it is about comfort more than anything. It's about being taken care of. So, is it a little gross? Certainly. I'm reluctant to pass a lot of judgment on that, because I don't find the places inherently evil. I find them inherently strange. Whether the environment will continue to exist for them, I don't know. But America also is a big country with a lot of opinions on every side. So we'll see.
And does it feel great to have the film here as part of London Film Festival? Which, I mean, there's a plethora of films with female perspectives, interesting female characters. So does it feel good to have it here as part of the film?
Oh, I'm delighted to be here, of course. Yeah, it's I have young children, so I don't travel nearly as much as I used to. The last time I was in London was 9 years ago for the festival. I'm very glad to be here, and very glad to get this film in front of a British audience and see what it does for them.
Do you anticipate a difference in reaction than you might do in America?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.